Miller guys. This is Jerry Irwin and Peter Hindle here at 20-28 Sargent Street in the heart of Hartford.
That's right.
And not a bad day today. We're still waiting. We have about 42 days left before hockey season starts. And, you know, sitting here on a warm summer day, who would think that pretty soon we're going to have hockey season?
Yeah, boy, and it's going to be a little bit different this year. You know, we talk a lot about the XL Center and all of the changes that are happening, and with the new dashboards and ice, and you know, we've beaten the dead horse about how it's great to get this done. So, you know, from a few feet above the ice, the XL Center is NHL ready. we just need to go from like 3 feet above the ice. You know, what was the XL Center, like 300 feet tall?
Yeah.
We need to, so
once the budget gets passed.
Yeah, I mean, you could
for
play
that.
an NHL game there. You
There
couldn't
could
watch
be a
an
budget by hockey season.
You never know. Apparently, there's only 2 states in the entire nation that don't have a budget. Wisconsin, which doesn't have hockey either, at least in the NHL level,
right.
And us. And you know what? It doesn't look good for us. I think you know, we're kind of like that nag in the horse race that comes in dead last. But if there's a budget pass, which we hear that it may be in the next couple of weeks, the first thing we want to check is to see if that XL money is in there. And it's a really tough thing to say because there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with, you know, crumbling foundations, school budgets, and you know, Hartford's got a budget issues, and the state has budget issues. And so after all that's said and done, if the budget does pass and there is no money for the XL Center, it really puts a damper on things looking forward to the future for hockey.
You know,
in Hartford.
it is a very tough time, and people have to understand, as we've understood for 20 years without the NHL club, but you know, we'll get the money at some point, I believe. I believe not just the governor, but also the legislature knows how important the XL Center is to Hartford and to the state of Connecticut, attracting people from all over the state to come in here and enjoy shows and other things going on at the XL Center. You know, we have the Wolfpack season come up, we have the UConn season coming up. UConn basketball as well. It attracts quite a few people, and we've talked about it over the years. How many people actually come to the XL Center, especially during the winter time? You know, this is a big deal for everyone to enjoy sports and entertainment in this region. Yeah,
I mean, you know, we talk about it ad nauseum, really. I mean, we got 500,000 people going to the XL Center for concerts, for hockey, for basketball, UConn, you name it. You know, if you break it down, you know, the Wolfpack brings in about 160, 170,000 people. UConn, with their 15 hockey games, they're bringing in, you know, 65,000 people. So it's almost like
then you add basketball.
Right, right. Then you add basketball.
Yeah,
so you're talking about almost 250,000 of the 500,000. Almost half of it is sports related. And, you know, the XL Center, and I don't know if this is a phrase, but it's almost too important to fail, for us to fail on it. I mean, without the XL Center, it just would make Hartford, I mean, you have the new UConn campus, which actually we should mention opened today. There was a big press conference with Governor Malloy, and, you know, bringing that UConn, that Hartford Times building has been vacant as long as I can remember. They completely gutted that building. And now, you know, you have roughly about 2,000, 3,000 students and faculty downtown for the new Hartford campus, which, you know, the state put a lot of money into, including making places around Hartford more pedestrian friendly. And these are things that we believe that the NHL looks at. I mean, they take a look at this stuff and it goes, what's going on with Hartford? Well, you know, they're getting more pedestrian access. They're getting the UConn campus. You know, the XL Center's being renovated. Those are all things that the NHL keeps tabs on. You know, I'm not saying that they're looking at Hartford as number one.
You're right, because
but there's fallbacks.
If there was nothing going on downtown, no building, no apartments, no UConn, they'd be looking at it and say, Hartford's a dead city. Why should we invest in something that's not doing anything? They've done so much over the past 5 years with respect to Hartford. They're going to add the new train system all the way down to New York City. This is, again, another way to get up to Hartford to enjoy the XL Center and what Hartford has to offer.
You're going to have rail mass transit to Hartford starting in May of next year. And, you know, this is trains every hour. So it's not like, you know, you get 2 trains a day. I mean, you know, think about that. If there is an NHL team in Hartford, and whether the game's at 2:30 or 7:30, there'll be a train you can take from anywhere south of Hartford and down to New York, or even north, because you're going to have. And when you think about all the budget issues that Connecticut and the city of Hartford has had, it is amazing the turnaround in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people out there that are in the suburbs, they say, you know, Hartford this and that, and they don't go there and this and that. This city has made monumental changes in the last 4 to 5 years, and we've been lucky enough to be involved to cover that.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, it's amusing some of the comments you see on social media.
Yeah.
There's the Live, Love, Work Hartford, great group of people. We go to some of their meetings when we have the time to do that. Steve Peterson, Joe Kelly, great people.
Yeah.
Peter Damali, we had him on our show talking about the Knowledge Quarter.
The Knowledge Quarter.
And then you have a group of downtown dwellers, and the majority of them want Hartford to be successful. But then there's a couple of them that are just, you know what? They're miserable.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they don't have any conflict, whether it's in their personal life or about Hartford, well, their day is not made.
No.
And, you know, I get on there and I read the comments, and I can't believe some of the people on there that just bitch and moan about, you know, Hartford. But everything about the UConn thing is working.
Yeah.
But they're going to find a problem with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
They have to just stop it and be thankful that things are coming downtown, because other than that, you'd have nothing to generate monies downtown.
Yeah, I saw a post recently in the Hartford Dwellers page. This is different than the downtown Dwellers, but somebody was actually commemorating the anniversary of a march of protest against the stadium. And what's kind of comical to me about that is that, you know, it was about 20, 25 people that didn't want the stadium, and they did protest and march. And after all this said and done, it was a massive pain to get the stadium done. It wasn't something that anyone asked for. But now you're looking at a stadium right now where we have double-digit sellouts throughout the season. They hit their plateau for their goal for sales, season ticket sales.
40,000 people.
Yeah, and you know, overall they're looking at, you know, close to 350,000 people came to a ballpark that would not have been here. Would have been a parking lot. You know, if that wasn't done.
Another parking lot.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't really say that the stadium is that much of a disaster.
And not only were they voted the best minor league baseball park, they were voted the best ballpark in America this past year.
And it really is a good time. If you haven't been there, this is the last week.
And it has national recognition.
Yeah.
So people have to understand whether it's UConn, whether it's the Yard Goats, they're putting us on a national spotlight.
Yeah,
and that's what people have to understand. Little Hartford, Connecticut is out there being talked about.
Right.
And I'm going to the game after tonight to meet my wife and in-laws at the game. I enjoy it. It's a great place. You know, Dean Zeppelardi, Tim, they do a great job there. It's an inviting park. They have great food. And another thing about the XL Center, do you think that Ted's Steamed Hamburgers and USS Chowder Pot are going to go into an XL Center if they don't think there's some sort of future?
Yeah.
They're not going to spend the money to rent a place to sell their
Oh,
product
absolutely.
if they think they're not going to make money.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously.
If you could get your product in front of 500,000 people, you know, even in you know, roughly 8 to 10 months, because technically the Excel Center gets worked on over the summer, as it did this summer. You know, there's no events. So I mean, to get that many people, and finally to have an Excel Center where you have local food, local beer, local breweries, you know, make it Hartford-centric. For a long time, we've been just, you know, what's the name brand thing, and we'll stick that in there, and everybody will be happy. But, you know, make it a destination. You do that by upgrading the arena, 1, and 2, by making accommodations and amenities on the, you know, concourse, which you might have 2, hopefully, if we ever get the money for the XL Center. So, you know, you look at that, and you look at the Yard Goats, and as much of a pain in the pill as it was to get that stadium done, you're right, it has given Hartford national recognition, and I can tell you what, the parking lot that was there was not going to get Hartford national recognition.
Well, yeah, Will, because
you know?
Probably the person that ran that parking lot is a national millionaire. But again,
making money off
we
of
won't
us
get
parking.
into that politics.
So true.
So, you know, the Wolfpack starting out the season, we talked about some of the changes that are happening this year with the Wolfpack. One of them was Keith McCambridge, who joined us on the show. Great guy. Excited to see what he does with the club. We talked about his penalty minutes when he was in the AHL. And I hope that he puts a boot in their ass this year and really gets them motivated to be a hard-hitting club. I'm excited to see what type of product he can put out there. And, you know, like we were talking in the off-camera show, that Ervik,
Marek Hrivik,
was picked up by Calgary.
He's
going to be over on the west coast of Canada.
You know, he was the longest tenured Wolfpack player. You know, he was actually here when the Connecticut Whale was here. Had this incredible series against Bridgeport Sound Tigers, which was the only time the Wolfpack / Connecticut Whale had beaten Bridgeport in the playoff series. You know, we had Cam Talbot in net, who you know now is the Edmonton Oilers goalie. And, you know, Marek Hrivik had something like, I think it was 7 goals in 9 playoff games. And he was on fire, but then he got a concussion. You could say he kind of hasn't been the same player since. But, you know, after a good 5 seasons with the Wolfpack, he's moving on to Calgary. And not just that, but as bad as last season was, they lost 4 of their top 5 scorers last year. So they lost Matt Bodie, the captain, who was traded. They lost Hrivik, who was up in there. They lost Nicholas Jensens, who I believe went to Europe to play. So, you know, they have to. This team is being totally revamped because they also lost their starting goaltender. So we were talking about that. But, you know, the additions are really good this year. Eric Selleck is a player that played in Springfield for the Phoenix Coyotes. He's kind of a little bit of an enforcer, has some points. And
What's
also,
he have 103 penalty minutes?
That's what
I love that.
So, you know, the coach may like that. Coach McCambridge may like that because you do need to dish out some elbows. The coach did say when he was on our show, which you can see if you go to the YouTube channel of the Whalers Brigade, when Coach McCambridge was on our show, he said, "I want my team to play on their toes and put the other team in this situation." Right. And you know, the Wolfpack team last year, with, you know, no disrespect to Ken Janander, who was a great coach, and we'll always miss him because he was a great guy. But you know, the team didn't do well last year in terms of that perspective. You know, they were not really aggressive. They didn't defend their own zone well. So, you know, these are things you look for. So Eric Selleck will be a new player. They have Dan DeSalvo, who played with Manitoba Moose, which we think that Coach McCambridge may recognize him as he was, you know, the coach up there in Manitoba for last season. Dan DeSalvo has 40 points in 66 games last season for the Manitoba Moose. So there's a little bit of a scoring punch. Cole Schneider has
UConn graduate.
UConn graduate, who has 66 points in 71 games last year for Rochester. That's a nice number. You know, that's some points there. So, you know, here's a guy who's getting a point almost a game. Then they have Paul Carey, who played for Hershey last year, 55 points, 55 games. There's another point for you know, game guy. And you know, you put these 3 guys on a line. You know, get them out on the ice at the same time. You have Paul Carey, who's I'm sorry, I just said the Rangers did sign a goaltender, Alexander Georgiev. He was played for the Russian juniors. And they have 3 goaltenders now, which would be interesting for the Wolfpack because as they enter the preseason matchup here, they got a couple games in the preseason we'll talk about in a minute. But as they do this preseason, there's going to be 3 goalies fighting for 2 spots. And the other 2 goalies, of course, is Chris Nell, who was a signing. He's only 22 years old and appeared in 34 games with the Bowling Green State University Falcons. Posting.
Where's that Whaler connection?
Yeah, the Whaler connection is Mike Liute was also a Bowling Green graduate. Chris Nell was 17, 14, and 2, along with a 2.15 goals against average. So, you know, while the record may not be that much above 500, when you're talking about a goalie who's getting 2.1 goals a game, he probably is losing the games 2-1. He also recorded 4 shutouts last season, and that was the 2nd consecutive year in a row. So Chris Nell, and then you have Alexander Georgiev, and then last year you saw Brendan Halverson, who was bounced back between the Swamp Rabbits and the Wolfpack. Ken Janander had a lot of faith in Halverson.
He did. He played him quite a bit, especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah, he kind of believes in him. So, you know, one of these guys is going to end up taking the walk. So you lost Magnus Hellberg, who really was the MVP for the Wolfpack last year. He went to the KHL, and you might remember Jeff Malcolm, who was the Yale goalie, who won the national championship with Yale. He had been bouncing back between Greenville and the Wolfpack last year, and he has decided to hang him up. So we wish him well, and you know, thanks for the memories because that Yale win, that was great. That NCAA championship happened to be Quinnipiac versus Yale for this, and then, you know, Quinnipiac band was playing Brass Bonanza. I mean, they were out in Pittsburgh, so that was great to, you know, to have.
Another honorable mention is Chad Johnson signing with the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's kept the job. Now he
was a Connecticut Whale guy.
He was the battery matchup with Cam Talbot when the Connecticut Whale got started. Of course, he played with the Wolfpack before that. He was number 29 he wore, and I remember, if you remember the NFL, Chad Johnson was Ocho Cinco. And they were calling the Chad Johnson that played for the Wolfpack Dues Neve or something, which is 29, which is kind of fun. So, yeah, you know, it's amazing to think about because he's played for the Bruins, he's played for Calgary, he's been a journeyman in the NHL, Chad Johnson. I didn't really think that he was going to have an NHL career, but he's made something of it.
He's really done well, and, you know, like we talked about with Cam Talbot, doing so well with Edmonton. He had a great season last year. I must say, I was rooting for him because I really want to see how far Edmonton could go, especially watching Connor McDavid in the playoffs. Is just the guy's amazing. And with that new sparkling contract, I'm sure he'll be doing a lot up in Edmonton. And I hope, as a young captain, he gets some people behind him because I really want to see Edmonton do well in the West Coast over there. The other thing we have to talk about is Lord Stanley's Cup was here a couple times this past week. Ron Hainsey, and then, or I'm sorry, it was Nick Bonino first, and then Ron Hainsey had it over at the Bolton Ice Palace.
Yeah, Nick Bonino, who brought the Cup last year when he won it with Pittsburgh to Avon Old Farms. This time it was, we were actually contacted by the Connecticut Children's Medical Center, who's also working on the license plate. The Whalers license plate, don't forget, it's coming out January 1st. So make sure when you head down to the DMV, you get your Whaler Vanity license plate.
Well, you can do it right online.
Yeah, can you do it online?
You can search. We should do that. You can search your number with the vanity plate right from that website for the vanity plates, and you can see if your number has been taken, and if it hasn't, you can then have it as your Hartford Whalers commemorative plate. So the Connecticut Children's Medical Center had they had benefited from Nick Bonino's appearance with the Avon Old Farms. So for $10, everyone got to take a picture with the puck, and they limited it to 3,000 people, and they met that goal pretty handily. You know, Connecticut Children's Medical Center had reached out to us to help advertise the event, you know, through social media, and we got over 6,000 to 7,000 hits just posting about the Stanley Cup. And like you said, that was last Sunday. Yes,
this past Sunday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? I think it might have been Monday. Anyway, but at the Bolton Ice Palace, which is not really an ice palace, but it's been there a long time. You know, that building has seen a lot of hockey, and that was the first time ever that the Stanley Cup was brought to Bolton. I mean, there's another showcasing event. Put Bolton on the map. They got a rousing response from the local Bolton community. You know, people were there, and Ron Hainsey was in his number 65.
And Bob Crawford runs that rink.
He does.
Whaler
he
and
was.
Ranger.
He was very, very happy to, you know, host the Cup appearance. And Ron Hainsey wore his Pittsburgh jersey, but he is moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And well, you know,
Toronto's made some
Austin
good moves.
Matthews. I mean, Toronto's.
Yep.
You know, hopefully they
Dominic Moore, who used to play for the Bruins, was signed by Toronto as a free agent.
Wow.
So they're making moves. The biggest moves I saw were Buffalo went nuts. And they're really going to make a move towards the playoffs this year. With who they signed, I was impressed. The other one that came out, the line I saw today on the NHL Network was TJ Oshie saying they need a big emergence from the young guys this year. You know, you kind of feel bad. They had the team last year. Again.
The Capitals,
and they just kind of fizzled right out and were just beaten.
I haven't heard a ton of the Capitals signing. Incidentally, Nick Bonino, who also was with Pittsburgh the last 2 seasons, is now moving on to the Nashville Predators. So he will be a Predator.
Town. I can't wait to see what
they
Nashville
had a great
can do
year
this year. They really did.
I mean, when you think about it, when you think this year going into the playoffs, and you look at who's going to be there in May, you know, nearing the finals of the Stanley Cup. You got to think that maybe Nashville's going to be there again. That wasn't kind of a fluke thing.
I hope it wasn't.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't too, because that was fun. Enjoyed watching it. Of course, the Rangers got another. Henrik Lundqvist is not getting any younger.
No, he's not.
You know, so he's going to be older.
He doesn't have a backup in Ranta. He's been shipped off over to Coyotes with Derek Stepan.
That's right. That's right.
So I hope that the Rangers stay healthy. So we as fans down here can really get to know this year's Wolfpack. Because, how many times does, something happen up with the parent club and all of a sudden you're shuffling 3-4 guys up there.
Yeah.
And you're getting some more people from Greenville coming up, and you're like, who are these guys? You know.
Yeah.
I hope that the Rangers stay healthy so we can kind of get accustomed to who's playing on the Wolfpack this year and who's going to fill the gaps with the recent vacancies.
Yeah, yeah, and when you think about it, I mean, here's a Wolfpack. They're playing in Hartford this season. It'd be nice, actually, if maybe a Ranger gets sent down. You get to see somebody, for a rehab assignment or get conditioning or that type of thing, because the team has kind of lacked a superstar type of player or a centric player. It was probably Nicholas Jensen was the top scorer the last couple of years, and they have not made the playoffs since 2015. If you remember, that's when they went to the conference finals against Hershey, and that team was pretty loaded for a Wolfpack team. They had a lot of decent score. Chris Bork, of course, and what's the other? Muller.
Who's on the team? Ronnie?
Oh yeah. So the Rangers drafted in the 7th round Ty Roning. Who is, if you remember, from the NHL about 20, 25 years ago, Cliff Ronning, wore number 7 and was like the Vancouver thing. If you play NHL 94 and you take Vancouver, Cliff Ronning is going to be your workhorse.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's one of those guys that's two-way players, had decent speed.
He's a chippy player.
You could use him. So, so it must be his son, and the scouting report on him is that. While he might be a little bit smaller, I think he's 184 pounds, but he is 6 foot. So they said he could take a hit and keep working through it, which is a good thing because, many times you get these finesse players that have, the skills and the puck handling skills, and they get one check and then they're off their speed and, tenacity. So, but that's important. Who used to do that is Ryan Bork, if you remember. Ryan Bork was a small player at 5'10", 176 pounds, and they used to really pummel him. And you know what? He got up off the ice and was skating as fast as he could. And he was a sturdy, durable player.
Both the Bork players, learned from a very passionate player with Ray of staying in the game and giving 100%. Whether they were with the Wolfpack or with Hershey, you saw that they played every minute. And
that's right.
it's great to see that work ethic. And I think that's what Coach McCambridge was talking about.
Right.
That you're out there. If you're going to play, you're going to play. If you're not going to play, you're going to sit. And I like him because I believe Coach is going to be a no-nonsense type of guy. And we really look forward to seeing what he can do with this club. And no disrespect, like you said, to Coach Jernander, he did a great job in Ken. We wish him the very best.
I hope he lands somewhere where he wants to go.
And,
if it's coaching or whatever.
But they can only go up. You can't get much lower. So I hope they put Hartford on the map for the good reason this year.
Because last season they were the worst team in the league. Attendance, surprisingly, they weren't the worst attended team, but I think they were 24th in attendance out of the 30 teams in the AHL. And, you're going to get your first look almost a month from today, so September 28th. I believe they're playing at Trinity against the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And that event will be, I think, a $5 entry cost, and it's going to the Ryan Gordon Wolfpack Memorial Community Fund, who is a young fan who unfortunately passed away in 2006. But he wanted, in his memory, donations to go to the Wolfpack community, for foundations, I guess, for, good things. So they have that game on September 28th, and then 2 days later, on September 30th, they will be playing at the Worcester DCU Center, Worcester, Mass. And, that's the first time an AHL game's been played there in a couple of years. If you remember, the Worcester Sharks ended up moving to San Jose, and they actually play with the San Jose Sharks. They're the Barracudas, though, now. So,
it's going to be really interesting. It's great to know that there's a month left.
And then we get swinging,
Yeah, I mean, my future grandson is slated to arrive on hockey season.
Wow.
This is
kind of an omen.
This is a good thing.
Wow.
This is a good thing. The kid's gonna be boom right into hockey.
Yeah.
We're gonna get him squared away right away. So
we are.
October 5th. I hope it's not a Wednesday, or I won't be here. But it's gonna be neat. I look forward. I'm not a cold weather person. I like the warmth. But that first chill you get in the air kind of gets you ready for hockey season.
It does.
We have it coming up. We're ready to go, and we're lucky enough to have 2 hockey teams in Hartford right now that really bring a lot of enjoyment. The Wolfpack with the families, and then UConn with the younger crowd and the corporate side. So we have a win-win until we can if we can attract an NHL team, and that's been
yeah.
really quiet lately. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening.
Right.
So we can just hopefully market ourselves.